Welcome everyone to this sixth virtual session. Today we're going to be talking about SMART objectives with our virtual trainer, Wesley Cook. Remember that in the teachinghelp.net platform you can find more courses, lesson plans, a community to share, formats, material, and information about teaching English. The topic of today is SMART objectives in this virtual session number 6. With us we have Wesley Cook. He will be your virtual trainer. Welcome, Wesley.
Hello, Daniel. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you all. Hope to have a good time, and we're going to learn a lot through all this workshop.
Thank you so much. So, Wesley has academic experience in the English field as a student in the TAC course, in the SIT course, in the ITRT course that certifies him as a English trainer for teachers, and he is currently studying them at the university. In the working experience, he was an English teacher for a private school. He was an access teacher, a SEAL assistant, and a SEAL head teacher. And this year he's working as a trainer for English teachers in the TTS. So might we start with the objectives?
Sure. So starting first with the objectives of the workshop, we start first with the 3 bullet points that we have here for you all. Danny, you might want to help me here with the reading the first one, please.
Sure. Retell SMART meaning according to the workshop.
Then we have compare objectives with and without the criteria. And the last one, Daniel?
And show understanding of SMART concept by answering the quiz.
So by the end of all this workshop, we are looking for you to achieve these objectives. And if you feel that you are not achieving it, you can review all this content again for you to have a better and deep understanding of all the topic in general. First, let's start with the first question that we have here, which is what criteria do you use when you set an objective? In your houses, please, if you have a piece of paper or a notebook, I will like you to write it down, your answer. We'll give here some time and for us to continue with the complete workshop after this. So based on different authors, what is SMART criteria? And SMART criteria here, we have it as an easy way to structure our objectives regardless of its purpose. In this case, a way to improve the goal we want to achieve with our lesson plans. And pretty much this concept comes from my own experience and based on what I have experiment with it. Now, talking a little bit of what SMART means, we move through every single one of it, and I will ask you, Daniel, if you help me here, saying what the SMART stands for, please.
Sure. S is for specific, M is for measurable, A is for attainable, R is for relevant, T is for time-based.
Right, thank you. As you can observe here in the slide, we have these 5 different letters that helps you to create a really well-structured objective for you to apply it during your lesson plans. Now, through all this workshop, we'll see different ways to apply this, not just in the teaching field, but in other ways. But we'll try to focus more on the teaching aspect. Starting with the specific part of the SMART criteria, in the specific part, we're looking to answer different questions, more likely like what we want to achieve, and also who it's going to be affected by this. In the measurable part, we are trying to look on how we are going to assess the objective that we are setting. Then we have the attainable part, in which we like also to call achievable, on how we see that we will achieve this objective, if it is achievable indeed, as the name says. Mm-hmm. Then we have the relevant part, in which we try to make the knowledge that we are sharing with our students meaningful for them in a way that they feel that they need this information. Mm-hmm. Then in the last part, we have the time-based, or also called time-bounded, in which we set a period of time answering the question when we are going to do this. So pretty much this is the main concept of what SMART is. Daniel, I will like you to share with all of us what you could get as a main idea of this, please.
Sure, so I could get that when we talk about specific objectives, we have to talk about who and what. going to be affected by the objective. When we talk about a measurable objective, there has to be a way of assessing the result of the objective.
Yes, that's right.
And attainable is achievable, so it has to be doable, like realistic.
That's right. That's right.
And relevant, it has to be something important for our students to do or for us to do. And time-based, it has to have a period, a time to finish it.
You got it, right? Now, following with the next slide, we have here some good aspects that we would like for you to observe and to read. Daniel, you might want to help me here with the first bullet point that appears there in the good aspects, please.
Teachers can observe a clear path to achieve their goals during the class.
Then we have it helps to approach to all your students.
It helps to avoid hindered learning.
And also it makes the teacher aware of him or her class. Now, these good aspects are based on different experience and also indeed about the criteria on how this works. These aspects are looking for the benefit of the teacher and also how to make this a really efficient tool that you can use through your lesson plans. Then we have some things that you might want to consider whenever you're applying all of this and things that you need to be like really clear about of this criteria. In the first bullet point, we have SMART, helps teacher in planning. Then we have all the steps work together. And observation is the basis of the criteria. And the last bullet point says it helps to improve your lesson. Now, these things to consider are pretty much advice for you to take in consideration whenever you are applying these criteria. It helps your planning before your lesson plan. It helps you before and also it helps you after. Why? Because before your class you have this objective that you want to achieve with your students during your lesson. After your class, it helps you to make and to set these new objectives for the next class that you are preparing. And it helps a lot to create this environment of the teacher that knows his or her students in a way that you are approaching to all of them. Also, the steps work together in a way for you to have a clear path to create your objective. And as it says there that the observation is the basis of the criteria, it indeed is the basis of it, because you need to observe your students in order to see their reactions, to see their attitude whenever you're applying your objectives through the lesson. And having all of these, little by little, you will improve your lessons. You know, and we all know that we are humans. We make mistakes. We have different errors, and we every single time we're learning as teachers. But this doesn't mean that we don't have the chance to improve. And this is a really good tool for us to continue improving day by day whenever we're teaching. Now, here we have some other things that you might want to observe, which are the guides on how to use these criteria whenever you are doing and creating your objectives. So I will ask you, Daniel, if you can read the little description. Meanwhile, I said the names of the SMART, please.
Okay.
Specific.
It should answer the question what and who.
So these two questions are pretty much helping you to create a really specific objective in the planning stage for you to observe what you want to achieve and also who is involved, who is directly affected by this. Measurable.
It should answer the question how.
As we were saying before, it's a way to test what you want to achieve. It's a way to assess your own objective through the lesson. Attainable or achievable.
It should answer the question how and why.
As you are already observing here about the good aspects and things to consider, we need to be able to set goals that are really achievable for our students. We need to try to put an objective that is realistic for them, depending on the context that we are developing and also we are applying this. Relevant.
It should answer the question how and why.
In this stage of relevant, we want the students to have some meaningful knowledge based on what we're teaching. It can be from different things, from a simple grammar point or a vocabulary. We want them to have a meaningful experience with this knowledge, and you should try to put it in that way in order for them to achieve it at some point in your class. And the last one, time-based or time-bounded.
Did you answer the question? When?
As we were saying before in the last slide, we have to have a period of time that indeed makes our objective a really achievable objective, and also it helps us to see when we are achieving it. So okay, so now we have here a question that we would like you to answer in your home. You have your notebook there. Please write down the answer for this question. Daniel, if you can read the question, please.
How many questions should the SMART criteria answer?
We'll give you some time here for you to answer. Okay, so based on everything we have been through this workshop, Daniel, how do you think we can use, or how do you think we use indeed the SMART criteria?
I think that we can use this SMART criteria when we are creating the goals of our classes, of our lessons. So I would say that when we are planning and preparing the material.
Okay. So yeah, pretty much that what you said, it's what we have here in the slide. This criteria, it's used when you are planning your lessons. It helps you to see a clear path for your goal indeed. And here I put 3 bullet points that I wanna like really remark from whenever you are using this, which is a planning lesson. You use this whenever you need to plan a lesson. It helps you a lot to have a clear path on what you need to follow for your students to achieve an objective.
Okay.
Then we have the way of improving. And as I was saying before, we normally also use this when after our classes, after we saw some problem, after we saw some little obstacle for our students, we can improve our lessons using this. Now, the last bullet point is to set a goal for the class. Whenever we need to set a goal for our class, we should absolutely use SMART, because it gives us some steps to follow and also some kind of resource to order our ideas in order for us to have a clear path to achieve these goals or objectives that we're setting. Now, here we have some examples that I would like to share with you based on everything we just learned about the SMART objectives. And here, first we have daily activities. One of our daily activities, I believe, it's doing workout. We would normally do workout running. We do it like in our houses, or just to unstress ourselves from different things of our lives. And here is the objective that we have here. Not using a SMART, it's just a random objective from a person that says, I will lose weight. We can say that it consists, that we are observing here a consist and concrete objective, but there is missing something. There is missing some steps to follow. And I believe that this objective can improve in order for us to achieve it. So, Daniel, I will ask you to read what's the next part of this objective, please.
So using SMART, the objective would be, I will lose 5 pounds by June 1st by eliminating sugar from my diet and walking 10,000 steps a day.
So I believe that this objective, it's really well detailed. It's really well structured, and also it gives us some guide at some point that help us whenever we need to achieve this objective. We can observe also that here we have the 5 letters of SMART being applied in this objective. We here are being specific, also we are being measurable. At the same time, we are achieving and being achievable with the objective. We are being realistic because we know that we are not maybe doctors or nutriologists that know all this kind of knowledge, but we want to achieve 5 pounds by June 1st, and we
Mhm.
set a time, so that's time bounded.
Yeah, you're not saying that you're gonna lose 50 pounds in 1 minute.
Exactly,
Something.
and that's pretty much how we can assess that we
Mhm.
are achieving and being realistic about our objective. Indeed.
Yeah.
So we have this other example, which is more talking about the teaching field.
Mhm.
Not using a smart, we have this objective that says use vocabulary to teach animals in a context. Um,
Okay.
Same, it is really concrete about what it says, but there is missing some details that can improve this objective. So, Daniel, can you please read the next square?
So using smart, the objective will be use zebra, lion, horse, monkey, and snake to teach the wild animals in a 10-minute conversation in which student A will be in the zoo. Sorry, I cannot read. Sorry. Will be a zookeeper, and student B will be a tourist visiting the zoo asking for information about each animal. Wow, so specific.
So, here we can observe a really specific objective trying to achieve and to approach to all our students, making concrete sentences about how we want to achieve this and being realistic at the same time, because probably they won't use all of them, but during the conversation they can add some others, and also they can talk about some specific animals. And also they have these roles that says that student A will be a zookeeper and a student B will be a tourist visiting the zoo, asking for information about each animal. So this creates the environment or the context that makes them talk among them. So having all of this, I believe, Daniel, that you might have one question or two about this, or maybe you have a question about how to create um, um, a smart objective about a topic.
Yeah, I would like to try to create a smart objective.
Sure, sure. So first, one of the first things that we will need to know will be what will be the topic for this smart objective. Also, the time of or the period that you will be giving this class, and the quantity of students that you will have.
Okay, so my next class is gonna be about simple past, and I have 40 minutes class, and I have 16 students.
Okay. So here we have the little table that we can use to create our smart objectives. Answering this at the end, we can combine everything to create our objectives in order for us to have a clear way to do it. But let's start step by step, so at the end we can observe what's the product that we will come out with. So specific, as it says there, it should answer the question what and who, and what we want to teach is the simple past, and to who, to our students. Pretty much the main objective there will be um, teaching simple past to a group of students, to a group of 16 students.
Okay, that's what we're gonna teach and who is gonna be taught.
Now, how we're going to be measuring this, what will be the way that we will be assessing this kind of objective, would be that the students will have a conversation or a sharing moment in which they will be talking about their weekend uh, activities.
About the weekend activities. Okay.
Now, how we are going to achieve or how we are going to make this objective achievable will be on a way that they will be sharing. We will be making this achievable just by having a conversation.
Mm-hmm. By having a conversation.
Now, the next stage, which is relevant, we need to make these relevant for our students, and we are doing it already by making and using their activities from the last weekend.
Of the last weekend. Okay, yeah.
Now, in the time bounded, as we have 45 minutes, I believe 10 minutes for doing this activity of conversation, would be enough, at least to make them do this conversation at least 3 or 4 times with different classmates. So I believe a
Mhm.
10 minutes conversation activity will be good enough, at least for this time, to create this objective. Now, combining all of this, we will have by the end of the class, students will be able to.
Okay, so this is helping us to create our objective, but
Mhm.
still, this is not the objective that we are going to write in the plan, right?
Right, yes, that's completely right. This will help us to see it in a clear way, what we need to put in our objective in order for it to make it smart.
Okay, so now we have to put everything together.
Yes. So a way to do this, it's by the end of the class, students will be able to um, use
Uh huh.
simple past to talk about their last weekend activities
Yep.
in a 10 minutes conversation
Mm-hmm.
in which student A will be sharing with the student B their last week activities.
Okay.
So with this, we are observing that we are already using everything we wrote for the questions that are next to the steps of the SMART in order for it to make it smart. Now, these objectives are really well in a structure, and also it might help us whenever we're developing our class in front of our students, and also that in the moment that we're applying it in our class.
Yeah, I can see this is time bounded. This is something doable for our students. We have to take into account the level of English of our students, right?
Yeah,
For it to be
that's
realistic.
completely right. Yes, that's
Yeah,
completely right.
very good.
So with that, I believe we already um, approach to all the theory behind these criteria. Now, here are some things that I might like to share with you based on my own experience, based on everything that I already experienced with these criteria, using it and not using it at the same time. Um, and first is it takes time to master it. It really takes time from us as teachers to master it because it makes us think really deeply about the reactions of our students and also how they will act in some situations, and also the environment of our class also affect them, and it makes them feel nervous, it makes them feel anxious depending on the mood and the way we want to achieve these different objectives, right? Daniel, you can read the next one, please.
Okay, it helps you to achieve better goals.
It helps literally you to achieve better goals, and as we observe in the examples, they are not just the goals there, but you make them in a way that you can achieve them, and also in a way that you are realistic about your environment and about the level of English of your students and what you want to achieve in it. Then we have observing your classes. Here in observing your classes, here is one of the tips that I can give you. Um, Whenever you are teaching, you might not feel able to observe yourself because that's something hard to do. And you can ask somebody else to do it for you. Or also, you can record yourself whenever you are teaching. It helps a lot to observe little details that you couldn't do in your lesson plan. And that really increase your chances to write a really smart goal.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel, you can read the next one.
It generates new perspectives of problems.
Um, as I was saying with the last point, once you are observing your classes, you might have different perspectives of some problems that you're living through your lessons. Maybe there is a student that doesn't really pay attention a lot, but you don't really know why. Once you are observing, you can notice what is causing the problem. You can observe also some solutions to solve these kind of situations and different things. You might open your perspectives about the different problems that you have in your class. So then, having all this knowledge, you can write a smart objective and you can approach to all your students based on what you could observe. And the last one, the closest we are to it, the smarter it gets. We know that, as it says at the beginning, it takes time to master it. We cannot like learn it really fast, but little by little we'll be applying letter by letter. It's not really mandatory right now at the beginning when once you are starting using this to achieve the five. But little by little, once we're getting to the smart at achieving the five letters, the objective it gets smarter. You have new solutions. You can adapt your classes in a better way, and also it makes you have a clear path for all the objectives that you set for your lessons, and it helps a lot once you start achieving the five letters. And that pretty much would be all the theory and all the complete knowledge behind the, the smart objectives and the smart criteria. So Daniel, you might want to add something else.
Just saying that using SMART is something, as you said, something that we learn with practice, but when we apply it, our objectives are more clear and more easy to achieve once we know the exact time we have to use for the objective, and it gives you a more clear way of how to achieve the objectives. So I really recommend teachers to use it.
Yeah. So here at the last slide, we have a little quote from George T. Doran, which is the author of these criteria. At the bottom of every single slide that we went through, you have the resource where all this knowledge comes from the different pages that we research from the internet and the different resources that we have, all these different topics. So you might want to check them out. So here to finish, we have this quote from George T. Doran, who is the author of these SMART criteria. At the bottom of every slide that we went through, you can observe the different resources that we took this content from, different pages, different articles that you can go and make your own research apart from what we just went through here. And I would like to end with this quote. Daniel, if you might want to read, please.
Okay. The establishment of objectives and the development of the respective action plans are the most critical steps. George T. Doran.
Yeah, and as it says at the really end, respective actions plans are the most critical steps. Those are the different steps we need to take in order to make our students learn. And the more we achieve the SMART objectives, the better knowledge our students can get from us. And it helps us to create this environment of learning inside of our classrooms.
I totally agree. Planning is one of the most important things, and action plans too.
Yeah.
Okay. So, teachers, as you could listen, in every slide there is the resource that we use. You can visit it and read for more information. In the content of this course, you will have the links. You will have our emails in the screen, so you can email us if you have any question or any doubt or any comment about it. I hope that it was useful for you and for your classes. And that will be all for today. Thank you, Wesley, for being with us in this presentation.
Thank you, Daniel, for the invitation. And I really hope all this knowledge can help you a lot through your classes. And I hope you can get a really good takes away from this. And it was a pleasure for me. Hopefully you invite me to another one.
I hope you are in the next one.
Thank you.
So, thank you, and see you in the next one. Bye, teachers. Bye, Wesley.
Bye.